Bichara Supply Chain, highlighting and showcasing solutions for the most complex challenges facing the industry in 21st century by our team of subject matter experts and mentors. Broadcasting every week, all year round, we will present the most up-to-date series of podcasts and webinars.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bichara Supply Chain. This is Nur Hadi host, and we have a very, very special guest today, Hannah Kain, President and CEO of ALOM. It is an award-winning, quality-driven global supply chain leader offering services from 19 locations on 5 continents. All right. Thank you for joining us, Hannah. It's great to have you on the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so pleased to be back on the show today.
Okay, absolutely. So today's topic is resilient in supply chains, learning from COVID-19. But before that, can you tell us a bit about your professional background and the story behind the company?
Well, I'm sort of have a story of several continents because I started in Denmark, in Europe, in the town of Hans Christian Andersen, the fairy tale teller. That was where I was born. I immigrated in 1990 to the US, and I was on the East Coast for some years. And then in 94, I came to Silicon Valley, and that is where I'm based. Usually I travel a lot, 150 to 200 travel days a year. But this year, of course, has been a very different year. So I have spent most of the year here in Silicon Valley. This is also where we have the headquarters of ALOM. And ALOM was founded in 1997 by me and a number of supply chain experts. We had a vision that we were going to start a very quality-driven, but also technology-driven company. And in 97, the world looked very differently. I remember talking about my vision of getting products out to all parts of the world within one day, and people would literally laugh at me. And of course, today that doesn't sound so outlandish, but at the time it was certainly a real challenge. And so over the time we grew ALOM, based on quality technology, very focused on corporate social responsibility and collaboration. And today, I also believe collaboration is a very big competitive advantage for anybody in supply chain. And what we do is we are totally vertically integrated, meaning we start with procurement all the way through end-user fulfillment.
Yeah.
We do like contract manufacturing, and so we take ownership of the products and of the supply chain and essentially execute on it from start to finish. We are very active in a number of industries. So of course, technology with the headquarters in Silicon Valley, you need to have technology as one of your industries. We have a big segment in automotive with all the big brand names in automotive. We also work quite a bit in utilities and finance and very regulated industries. And finally, we do a lot of business in the medical and pharmaceutical space. And this year, that has been really a very interesting space to be in, as you can imagine. So yeah. I look forward to talking more about that.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so talking about resilience, Hannah, what advice can you offer the business leader how to make a supply chain be more resilient post-COVID-19? Can you also please share some of your client success story and how did you help them?
Yeah, absolutely. So my advice is, of course, some of the best practices that the top corporations and we are following. So the first thing you always need to do is look at risk. Look at how can you do risk mitigation up front. Yes. So we all plan, and we all know that the plans don't come to fruition because there's always stuff happening. This year we've learned that more than any other year, I think, in our professional lives. And so understanding the risks and then seeing how you want to deal with the risk. And what I like to do is take the big risks and really mitigate them, figuring out other ways to handle this situation. So this could be multiple suppliers, multiple locations. It could be different strategies for how to eliminate or take the risk down. Mm-hmm. And just looking at the risk, you're thinking about what else could I do, such that if something happens, then you're more ready and you've thought through the problem. Yeah. And I think that the people who really had problems this year with their supply chain and with delivering through the supply chain certainly had not planned for and looked at supply chain fluctuations. Mm-hmm. But in the bigger scope of things, what happened this year, and I think this is important for your listeners to also understand, the big story about supply chain this year has been a demand shift. So the demands all of a sudden fluctuated tremendously. And that's, I think, also a new development. So, of course, it's much worse here during the pandemic. But in general, I think that we're going to see much more shifts in demand because of social media and herd mentality, maybe changing a little bit how consumers react. Mm. So once you have done your risk assessment, of course, the other thing is to have systems that create great visibility. So the better visibility you have, again, I look at the supply chains that have been successful. The more visibility they had, the faster they got data in, the better they reacted. What we really want is more than just plain visibility, but just having that transparency has been really important this year. Mm-hmm. So one of the things we have been doing this year is, of course, COVID-19 test kits. A fair amount of the COVID-19 test kits out there come from our facilities. We have 5 clients in that space. Yeah. And that has been a real important effort for us to ramp up very fast and meet the test demand. And of course, one of the challenges during the pandemic, as we are dealing with physical stuff and people need to be on site our staff needs to be on site to handle these kits and getting them assembled and shipped out, is to keep everybody safe in that process. And as the pandemic has been raging around us, that has really been my main focus, is to keep everybody safe while being part of the solution to this crisis, to this worldwide crisis. So it's been a big satisfaction for me in 2020 to be able to be part of the solution to the COVID crisis. We also, as part of our medical activities, have other products. We assemble and ship other products that are part of the solution to the crisis. That includes air purifiers going into hospitals and things like that. So we've been very focused on seeing what we can do to help those clients really ship on time, and that entire mentality has been translated into all our customers, such that we essentially have been able to run 100% on-time shipping rate during the pandemic. So I'm very proud of my staff, needless to say, that they accomplished that in spite of all the obstacles here over the last year.
A wonderful story. Okay. All right. So let's jump to another question. How do you see the role of digital technology in the context of creating resilient supply chains?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Digital technology is the key to supply chain success.
Yeah.
And so I'm always looking at, you have the physical supply chain, you have the digital supply chain, you have the financial supply chain. The more you can synchronize them and make them go hand in hand, certainly the better. So I was talking about visibility, transparency, being a key factor here for successful companies making it through the pandemic. But the real thing, the thing that we are all wanting to get is more prescriptive, predictive analysis, such that we know what's coming out in the future. And there are different ways of doing that. It's still in its infancy, but I really see that what's going to happen, especially in the consumer space. And in the end, the consumer space is driving a lot of the B2B space also. What's going to happen is certainly that the sentiment analysis, just seeing what are people posting on social media and so forth. How are people reacting to that, right? So I think that's a really important area. And of course, that also then translates into anything that's related to the demand shift caused by the pandemic, because what we are seeing now is certain sectors, etc., going through the roof, and other sectors essentially going through the floor. So we are seeing, when I'm looking at what happened in 2020, I hear people being very successful, companies being very successful, or companies having a really, really bad year.
Awesome. This question still related to the COVID-19. What is your observations in regards to the future supply chains in the next year of then another 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What is your view, Hannah?
Yeah, so in 2021, I think we are still going to be very impacted by COVID-19. And this, I think the way I see it is it will be a while before the vaccine has started to really take full effect. And especially in third world countries, and in the bigger scope of things, this is a worldwide problem. So until we have the worldwide problem solved, we are going to be under severe restrictions. And so I hear a lot of people saying they can't wait to be done with 2020. But on the other hand, I think 2021 will still have some challenges. So longer term, I think we have learned a lot in this past year about the importance of technology and being technology ready. So I think that's going to stick with us. Over the last, I'd say from about year 2005 to year 2015, the complexity in supply chain was outrunning technology.
Right.
So supply chains got more and more complex. Technology couldn't really keep up. The last 5 years, we've seen a little bit better performance where the technology is catching up more. And what I'm hoping and thinking is over the next 5 to 10 years, the technology tools that are out there, there are lots of exciting technology tools out there. And so I'm thinking the artificial intelligence, maybe even blockchain, that I'm sort of a little bit of a blockchain skeptic, but maybe even blockchain and certainly a lot of the connectivity tools, they're all going to help us a lot as we are going through the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm very optimistic with the role that technology is playing in supply chains and making things more visible and predictable. And that could be in a number of different ways, everything from sustainability to location to compliance. And we just saw it here with the COVID vaccine. In the US, there was 2 shipments where the vaccine had been shipped, but the temperature had gotten out of control, out of the controlled range during shipment. And so when that happened, the signal went back to the manufacturer, and they recalled those particular units and are doing real-time troubleshooting. So it's a good example of how technology is helping us do real-time corrective action right now, which we really need, because we need those vaccines to be turned into vaccinations, because vaccines don't save lives, vaccinations do.
Yeah.
So I'm very optimistic that technology is going to really solve a lot of our key problems.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. So before we close today's conversations, do you have some key takeaways from today's podcast, Hannah?
I think think about risk, think about your supplier strategy as it relates to risk and resilience, and be very conscious about which technology solutions you put in place, such that you can get visibility now and predictability and visibility into the future as you're developing your systems. And then, of course, one really important thing is work with somebody who's very collaborative. I think, again, the collaborative style where we all work together to solve problems is a very important personality trait. And I believe that the true winners in supply chain are the ones that are very collaborative.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so once again, thank you so much for joining us, Hannah. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
At Bichara Supply Chain, we are committed to driving global perspective to embrace technological adaptation in improving process efficiencies. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share Bichara Supply Chain. And stay tuned for the latest updates. To learn more, visit our website www.bicharasupplychain.com. Thank you for listening to us. We look forward to seeing you at our next episode.